Ah man, it's been a while since I've done one of these. This is Nightmare Baller, Markeem with the crust on my face and the dingy t-shirt. This is an edition of the Blue Moon Extra. I'm this one I think is not gonna be that long. I was gonna come on here and talk about Maul Shadow Lord, but I think it's incredible. Just to keep it kind of short and sweet, I think it's incredible. Dave Filoni and all of his brain trust knows Star Wars better than anybody else. All of the moments that you would want to see from a series like that are all here. Yeah, man, and I'm just excited for season two. I don't really have no sweeping thoughts about it. I just know like I'll probably talk about it more after we see the Mandalorian. If y'all are on the Discord, me and my lady go see a bunch of movies all the time. We always posting like our quick thoughts on the Discord. So if you want to know more about what I think about movies, definitely get on that Discord because that's who I record my movie reviews with. Because that's who I watch most of my movies with. So and she, she's getting into like the geek shit I like. Like she is getting into pro wrestling. She's getting into all this other stuff. She's getting into anime and all this stuff. But like movies have always been her thing, like even more than me. So if you're interested in what I think about movies, I'm only recording them with her pretty much, and they're always short. But not the point of this. But yeah, Maul Shadow Lord is great, but I ain't got a lot to say about that. I wanted to get on here and talk about Devil May Cry season 2. Recently released from Netflix, follow up to the very polarizing season 1. I loved it. I love the games also. I've put a lot of time in the games, getting good at the games. So this isn't coming from a guy who also doesn't care about the games because I am an outlier, right? I am an outlier. I am one of the people that truly loves this show. And spoiler, I loved this season too. I loved it even more than the first season. But I also truly love the games. Yeah, I love the gameplay. I love the look of them. I love the characters. I love the games. I've gone through Bloody Palace and Devil May Cry 5 so many times. Same thing with 3 back in the day. I love the games. And I also love this show. So I find it very weird when I hop online and I see people that love those games and don't love this show. And I also find it weird that people that love this show but go, I don't care about the games. Like, I want to talk about some things that I understand in terms of critiques, right? I've seen people say that this show does not understand the characters, right? And I think from a sweeping statement, that is not true. I think the general idea behind each of the characters, the show kind of understands. They take liberties with everyone's like origin and kind of their personality a bit to make it work for television. Because people are like, Dante's a buffoon, right? And to me, I never looked at Dante as like some sort of genius. I looked at him as like a skilled, superpowered demon hunter that's cool. And cool, is all subjective, right? However you feel about cool is how you feel about cool. I'm not the cool police. I'm not here to tell you what you think, what to think is cool and what not to think is cool. But I don't know. I think the show kind of accomplishes the same thing. To at least to me, he does cool shit. He is a talented demon hunter that has been doing it for years and years and years, and very skilled fighter. Like I think the show accomplishes the same thing. So I'm a little disconnected with like the fact I just am. I think that I understand, but the word complaint I understand. I understand the complaint with Lady because I've seen people say that Lady is just a little grating, right? But in the games, she's a woman of few words that has a lot of personal trauma and hurt behind her. You know what I mean? So I understand seeing her in these games. I mean, seeing her in this show, this person that's full of self-doubt, even though she kind of is in the games, but that's full of self-doubt and beats herself up about things that are kind of dumb, especially a boy in the second season. And, I see people say that, she's not as soft-spoken as she was. She's not a lady of few words, things like that, right? She gonna take it what she thinks. She gonna tell you how it is, all that stuff, right? And I do think she is different than she is in the games. However, I do think that for this show, you had to tweak that character. If you make the conscious decision to make her a part of the main cast, right? If you make that decision, naturally you have to tweak that character. And the show in itself, to me, it honors the spirit of the characters enough where I can get behind the things they decided to change to make the television work. So it doesn't really bother. I'm so confused when I see people getting upset. It doesn't really bother me. It's not like Dante is not half demon. It's not like Lady's not a skilled fighter. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like they're taking such liberties where these aren't even the characters anymore. And if you feel that way, I guess you are entitled to feel that way, but I also think a part of you is nitpicking. That's just what I think. But I get Lady to an extent, but I don't know, man. Another criticism that I've seen that I understand if it does not work for you is the demons and the lore behind the demon world and all that stuff, right? Drastically different from the games. It's drastically different. And if you wanted that to be the same, if you think that is so fundamentally important to Devil May Cry that this is just the disconnect is too much for you, I get that too. You know what I mean? Again, I don't see it that way, but I do get how someone can. I do get how someone can. So from that aspect, cool, I understand. I've seen people say the music is cheesy and some of the use of the licensed music is cringe. A lot of this stuff is cringe, right? The dialogue in Devil May Cry is cringe. Some of the action scenes, and especially in 3, are literally of its time, right? So, like, why are we complaining about what's cringe and what's not when these games, outside of actually playing them, are also cringe? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying anyone is entitled to like this show. What I don't understand is people acting like Devil May Cry is this high concept storytelling, bro. I do not get it. I don't understand. It is Devil May Cry, y'all. All we really need is conflict with the demons, conflict with the demon world, and Dante's story. You know what I mean? And whatever liberties they took with it, you know what I mean? I'm not saying they have to work for you. I'm saying is I don't understand how people are so sensitive about the lore of Devil May Cry when the story itself is very basic. The games have very basic stories, you know what I mean? Now, if these, and I've seen people like do deep dives about like how the story is this in Devil May Cry 3, when really, truthfully, it's just this guy who wants to amass a bunch of power to take over the world. That's what the story of Devil May Cry 3 is, you know what I mean? And I've seen people say like this game shits all over that when literally they've kind of done that every single now, 2 seasons they've done a version of that story, you know what I mean, in both seasons. So I don't understand why people are so upset about the lore. I don't get that, because they literally done that for 2 straight seasons. What do people want? But I want to talk about the outright lie that I've seen about this show, though. The one outright lie that I've seen motherfuckers lie about is that Dante is barely in the show. That is a lie. That if you have not watched this series, right, and that is one of your hurdles, because you've heard someone say, and I've heard this a bunch, that Dante is not really in this show. That's a fucking lie, man. That dude is clearly the main character. Just because in this show it's more of an ensemble cast, that doesn't mean he's barely in the show. He is all through this show. The central story of season 2 is the story with his brother, and it is the main plot point of the show. Dante and Virgil in this season are the 2 main characters. Don't let anyone lie to you and say anything else. The villain gets backstory because, hey, it's nice to kind of know why a villain wants to do something. Lady gets backstory because, I don't know, it's nice to kind of see what these side characters have to do with the main story. But the main idea of the show is Dante and Virgil. And from this point forward, spoilers, okay? Spoilers. So this picks up it's a couple years after season 1, where the war with the Demon World Makai is in full effect. Like we're sending troops over there, and all that stuff. We're taking the fight straight to Mundus and all this shit. That's where it picks up. Dante's frozen. Darkcom is the demon fighting entity. They're sending troops over to Makai. They're gathering these relics now in hopes to stop the demon lord Mundus. They go over there. They send Lady over there. She steals the last piece. Virgil also comes here to he also comes to the human world or whatever, right? And then the whole plot point basically is Virgil wants to find the person responsible for killing him and Dante's mom. And he believes that the main villain of this season, a guy by the name of Arius, who actually happens to be the villain of the second game. By the way, terrible story in that game too. Absolutely horrible story, absolutely horrible main villain, but people still are complaining about how he's different when I feel like he's objectively better here, because now I actually know why he wants these items. But the whole story, he comes here to kill Arius because he believes Arius killed his mom, because that's what Mundus told him. And basically the whole season is Virgil's journey to discovery, finding out what actually happened with his mom, finding out his actual origin, what his dad actually was like, things like that. And Dante goes on a very similar journey, but instead he has Lady by his side. Now, one thing I wish they did not change, and I wish they did not do, as someone who likes the game and like the show, is try to force this Lady and Dante romance. Like, I know people used to, ship it back in the day when the games were like, at their peak or whatever. But I don't know. I've always saw them as like big brother, little sister. I've always seen it like that. It's always felt like that to me. So it was just kind of awkward in general. You know what I mean? But to me, that's a very small complaint for this very strong season. The animation in this show is so incredible. I know people are bringing up little nitpicky moments, right? Like where the CG looks a little off, and the characters, they're making a weird face. One time Virgil did a slash, and we didn't see the slash. We just saw the slash marks. People are like nitpicking the fuck out of the animation, but as a whole, this animation is incredible. The fight scenes are very well choreographed. The first fight scene with Virgil and Dante, super well choreographed. The final fight scene with Virgil and Dante is legitimately one of my favorite fights in anything animated that I have ever seen. From the music, from the choreography, from the callback to, how everything is resolved. That is about as perfect gets. I had literal chills going up my arm when that happened, when Virgil dropped that sword when he dropped Sparta into the ground. And then they squared up with each other. And then the "See You in Hell," the original Papa Roach song, like an orchestral version of it started. I was like, this is fucking, like, this is so well set up, so well done, bro. I do not understand the complaints. The voice acting I think was really great. I think that Graham McTavish as Arius is really great in this show. He's not as memorable as, let's say, White Rabbit from the last season, because White Rabbit is just a very unique way of doing a villain origin in general, and then it's a really cool like twist on what you would think that villain was like. Because I didn't see any of that coming, and like it literally gave him he was kind of right, you know what I mean? In a way, he was kind of right. Arius is cool, but he just doesn't reach those heights. I love how they wrap things up with him, because there's a line in this show that is absolutely perfect and kind of sums up why he's doing everything he's doing. That line is great writing, man. I don't care what nobody said. Great writing. I know people like, Adi Shankar is a piece of shit, and he might be. He kind of is. You know what I mean? He's definitely self-centered, 100%. He definitely thinks he's kind of bigger than the franchise itself. You know what I mean? That's not great. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. I like this. I really like this show. You know what I mean? I really like this show. But yeah, like as I was saying, the voice acting is great. Johnny M. Bosch's Dante is still really good again. Virgil's voice actor, I cannot remember the dude's name. Hold on, give me a second. I'm gonna ask. No, very very unprofessional. Who voices Virgil in season 2 of Devil May Cry? As my phone. Robbie Damon voices Virgil in this season of Devil May Cry. Off the top of head, I don't know who the fuck that is. But I will say that his version of Virgil worked really well for the show because the entire show is Virgil's anger. You know what I mean? He's mad because his mom's dead. He been lied to. He's been finding out things, and that motherfucker conveys anger. Great. Absolutely great. I've seen some people say Daniel what's the homeboy name? Daniel Southworth, I think is his name. Homeboy that played Virgil. I believe it's Daniel Southworth in the games. I don't know. I'll be blanking on voice actors. Although that's the voice of my childhood, it's definitely the voice when I played Virgil. I played Virgil in Marvel's Capcom 3 and Ultimate Marvel's Capcom 3. I heard I'm motivated 50 million times a day going to tournaments and stuff. Definitely the voice, that I think of when I think the games. But in this show, I don't think he would have worked. I just by the nature of the story they were telling with the character, I don't think it would have worked because he's angry. You know what I mean? He's angry. Like I said, man, I think this show is a hell of a time. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I think that there aren't many complaints that I have with it per se. It's just a couple things here and there I think they clean up to really, really make it something special. But once again, I feel so weird because I like the show. I really liked it. I even liked it more than the first season. So I don't know. And I respect them in general, for not caving to what the diehard fans of some of the diehard fans of this show have said, and just telling their story, bro. Just telling their story. Just acknowledging that the actual story of Devil May Cry is very simple, and they wanted to do something cool with it. And I think mission accomplished. That's just me. But I will see y'all Tuesday. I don't want to sit here and ramble. Again, tune into our Discord. Definitely thank you for all the support. My dog Chase is back, motivated as fuck. You know what I mean? Like he without giving out that man personal information, he's gone through it lately. You know what I mean? Just over the past year or so, and just to see him back and invigorated, it makes me excited and invigorated, man. And it's gonna be big, man. We doing big shit this year. We are taking this shit over this year. This little niche of pro wrestling commentary and all that shit, it changes soon.